of the West. It's not something that comes from within. It's not internal at all. It's not natural. The only thing that is natural is actually the Zionist movement, funny enough, because these people are going back to where they came from. So it doesn't matter that the let's say political Zionist movement was created by Theodor Herzl, right? Because its roots it's rooted in the religion. It's rooted in the Tanakh, in the Mishnah, in the Talmud, in everything, in the prayers, and you cannot deny that. Like this is where we have all the sources, right? And it proves that Zionism is ancient, from the moment the second temple was destroyed, people wanted to return to Zion. Now, I want to address what Ace is saying in the comments regarding this military occupation. The reason why I want to talk facts, the reason why I want to create a timeline is because it's important to understand why we are where we are, right? Israel didn't wake up one day thinking, we want to occupy these people, right? First of all, it's a temporary. If you want to call it an occupation, that's fine. I personally don't call it an occupation. I call it disputed territory because when you look at the Oslo Accords, you see that the Israelis and the Palestinians together, they agreed on dividing the West Bank into these three areas, essentially giving the Israelis the responsibility for security and civil law in Area C, and then it's divided in Area B, and in Area A, it's like Palestinian only, right? All that is agreed upon by both sides, which means effectively it cannot be an occupation. I agree that conditions are occupation-like for obvious reasons, but the reason why we are where we are is essentially because the Palestinian leadership and the Arab one in general has been very much rejectionist, right? You cannot argue that Zionism is about occupying another people, excluding another people, when they've literally been offered a state in the year 2000 and also in 2008, right? When Jordan was the one that illegally annexed the territory, gave them Jordanian citizenship, and in 1988 they said, you know what, when your passports they expire, you will effectively no longer be Jordanian. We are the ones making you stateless. Jordan made the Palestinians stateless, not the Israelis, right? And then all of a sudden it's Israel's responsibility to solve the conflict, which they were willing to do. It happened within 5 years. They sat down, they formed the Oslo Accords in 1993, the second part in 1995. Part of the deal was that within 5 years there had to be some kind of Palestinian state. The reason why the Camp David summit was held in 2000 was because that was the end of the deadline, right? The entire world was hopeful, but what happened? The Arabs rejected it, right? So you cannot make a claim that Israel wants an occupation, that Zionism is about occupation. No, the occupation is a consequence of Arabs themselves. Where was the occupation between 1949 and 1967? It was done by the
No, Judea
Egyptians
and
and the
Samaria
Jordanians.
and Gaza, they were both always occupied. The only problem that
Yes.
Ace has is that now Jews control the land. Before us, it was the British occupation, actual occupation, because Britain is not there. Israel is, so it's not an occupation, it's not a colony, it's our land. Before that, it was the Ottoman. They never were not occupied. The only problem that they had, the problem started after they lost a war for the second time they launched. First, they did 1948 and then 1967. Until 1967, Judea and Samaria belonged to Jordan, occupied by illegal colonials, not a word. Then they launched a war, they lost it, and they lost land. Completely legal, completely like justified. And I'm not sure her problem is that we're Jewish. If we were Turks or British or Arabs, there would be no fucking problem. This is why we didn't hear a pips from the so-called Palestinians uh, in 1949, 1950, all the way to 1967. No Palestinian state, no calls to create a Palestinian state, no talks about occupation, about illegal, no talk about colonialism, none of this. Ace, I will end with this. Zionism is a decolonization movement. Decolonization, not colonization, decolonization. We came there, it was occupied by the British, and we gained it back. And now we control our own land, the land of Israel, that for thousands of years was called the land of Israel, is still the land of Israel. And Israel is a nation of people that you call today the Jews. We are part of, you think that Judaism is a religion. No, it's an ethnic group of people. I am Jewish. I'm part of the nation of Israel. I'm not religious. And if it will be enough for Hitler to kill me, it's enough for me to be called a Jew.
But Daniel, if we look at the literature on modern day nationalism, right? tell me which criteria do these so-called Palestinians fulfill? I would
They have
like to
nothing.
know.
They have nothing. The
And
entire Palestinian is based on lies, and it is bound to collapse. And I will tell you what, they always double down. They always double down, which is great. Okay, this is why we will now start to see the collapse of the Free Palestine movement in the United States, because they don't know never to be satisfied. And people are kind of getting annoyed by it because it seemed at the beginning legitimate. And the more people see, they see them as a tantrum. Palestine is not a state, it's a tantrum. It's like wah, 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 we are poor. And they think that the more victim there will be, the better their chances are. And
Dan,
let me break it down to them. You can be as victims as you want. You need to have justice on your side. You need to have facts on your side. You need to have history on your side. You got nothing except victimizing yourselves against the brutality of the Jews. The walls that were put around West Bank and Gaza saves thousands of lives. So we will not apologize. Well, I apologize for the inconvenience that it may cause some Palestinians. But I'm inconvenienced at the airport. I need to come 3 hours before my flight just because they need to check my belongings. I'm a good guy. Why do
Go
they do
4
this?
hours before, man.
Well, I go 2 hours, but I wanted to
Yeah,
come.
but you're also Israeli, that's
Why?
why, man. Last time I went three
Why
hours
do?
before, I literally almost missed my flight. They had to
But why
eject me,
is it
man.
collective punishment? Why don't they do it just for the terrorists? Why do they stop and search me? I'm a good guy. Why do I need to be stopped and searched? Why don't? And this is the mindset. They think that the terrorists walk with like a badge saying, "I'm a terrorist, hit me here." No, they use children, they use hospitals, they use women, and until they will call it out, they will continue to die. And we will not have any bad feelings about it. Anyone that will come to kill us, we will wake up earlier to kill them. You don't want to die? You don't want to suffer? Don't try and kill us. Palestinians, instead of like trying to fight Israel, should learn from Israel, should cooperate with Israel, should work with Israel. Let's see.
did you see the
Ace,
video of the Palestinians freezing in the snow?
Yeah, yes. And
Don't
it
you
was
feel
shared
bad
by
for them?
hundreds of thousands of people.
It's snowing over there. Jesus, it so
So
looks very cold.
what I did, and I said, I asked Clark if they can take the video and make those Palestinians feel a bit better. So there's a video of them freezing, but then there's like a penguin passes by and they all started laughing. So you can
okay,
make
wait,
them
can
feel
we,
less
Daniel, can we
less
address
victim.
what Ace is saying? So, like, this is the problem with people on that side. The thing is, we're providing facts, facts, facts. We're explaining why the situation is the way it is, and then they jump straight to like this whole feeling and emotion thing because they want to keep on with this narrative, which is essentially propaganda. You're not going to acquire anything. Do you think that when diplomats they meet and start talking about, but children are dying? Of course, children are dying. Of course, it's horrible. We're trying to explain that you cannot blame Israel for everything. Like, there is a reason why this is happening, right? It's horrible. It has to stop. But if you don't understand why it's happening, you can't understand how it can stop. And this is the reason why the 20-point peace plan works, because these Muslim and Arab countries, they know exactly why it started and how it can be stopped. The entire world, apart from Iran, understands very well that Hamas at its core is the issue. And just look at, like, when was it? It's almost been 3 months since there's been a ceasefire, since Hamas has been told to disarm, and they're still not doing it. Now tell me, who is the issue right now? I'm not telling you to tell me about how many children are dying. We all know that. We've been told this a million times. But if your focus is on all the children that are dying, why was your focus not on the children
Samson,
that died on October 7th?
let's try an
Yeah.
analogy.
No,
Imagine if you're an
but hold on.
oncologist.
I just want to touch on the children one more moment. Her problem with children dying is so bigoted because if she had a problem with children dying, then she would not support the Hamas camps for children. She would not support them recruiting children. If she thinks that Hamas recruits 18 and above, then she lies to herself. Even the fucking UN did a report of how children are being exploited and radicalized and weaponized. And yes, Ace, this is why they're dead. I'm not mocking them, but I'm not a piece of shit that exploits them. And this is what the Palestinians are doing. They are using children because children, we in the civilized society give them special protection, as we do for women, as we do for hospitals, as we do for places of worship. What a terror group that are doing is exploiting those protections. And you should call it out. You should tell to the Palestinians, hand off the children, hand off hospitals, hand off mosques. And if you don't, we will kill those children and we will destroy those hospitals and we will destroy those mosques because they lose their protection. It's not mocking them. This is the reality of the ground. Children should not be
Facts.
part of war.
I think that's facts,
Well,
Daniel.
let me
This
give an
is real
example.
life.
Let me give an analogy. I think this
You
will
know
help.
what are you gonna do?
You
Let the
know,
terrorists stay there for the rest of for the rest of the time that they live in Earth? No,
just
man,
give
you
me
gotta
just
get rid of
let
them.
me just express this analogy. You know, when people talk about, let's talk about the children. What this is like, this is like a group of people that go to see a group of children that unfortunately suffer from cancer, right? And they're telling the oncologist, please don't remove the cancer, but I want you to feel pity and have some empathy for the children that are suffering from cancer. So what we are saying is similar to the oncologist. Uproot the cancer. And the cancer in Gaza is Hamas. Simple. And Islamic Jihad in the West Bank.
What is the counter argument to that? Is there, I don't understand how there's possibly a counter. What is the counter argument being made? Is it just kill the
I
Jews or
think I
something?
think I think the strongest argument they're making for that one is, well, why would they talk about Qatar? Like, why would Israel send money to Gaza? But
I- but Samson, just a game, okay? Let's say Qatar said we want to give money to the Palestinians in Gaza to rebuild neighborhoods, okay? As they did. And let's say that Israel did not say okay. Israel would say no. We do not allow you to bring the money because it will fund terrorism. What
mm,
would those same people would say about Israel that did
exactly.
not allow Qatar to fund the money? It doesn't matter what Israel does, okay? It's bad. If we want to call for countries to accept Palestinian refugees, then it's ethnic cleansing. If we keep them there, then it's a prison. Like,
Yeah, it's damned if you do and damned if
pick
you
a
don't.
lane.
That's exactly the
Exactly. And so
situation.
at this point, I think this is the point that Israelis are doing what they believe is the good, humane, moral, legal, and just thing to do. And if they don't like it, their problem. But this tantrum of wine babies of everything that we do is bad is like it's exhausting, and it kind of proves to us that there is no legitimacy in their claims. It's just like wine babies, and this is how we treat them, as like whining tantrum babies, that everything is bad and everything is no, when they provide no solution, no offers, nothing, just complaints. So keep on complaining. We will thrive. We will win. You will whine.
You know what's funny, Daniel? When I condemn Islamic values that repress women and treat women like worthless excrement, with all due respect to women, right? Apparently, I'm an Islamophobe, according to these great thinkers on social media,
There
right?
is no thing such thing in Islamophobia.
I am Islamophobic.
But but they are very feministic, right? When they defend the narrative of Hamas that throws acid in women's faces just because women decide to, be autonomous and be individuals and make their own decisions.
They don't
Funny.
care. It's all weaponized. Everything is a weapon. Religion is a weapon. Children are a weapon. Palestinians, as a nation of people, were created for the sole purpose of being a weapon against Jews. And it's not me, it's the creators of the PLO that said it specifically, that it's a tactical decision, it's a tactical nation that is meant to oppose Zionism. That is what Palestinians are. And they say, the PLO founder, we are no different than Lebanese, Jordanians, or Syrians. We are all Arabs, we're all the same. And that is true. Palestinians were created by the world as a weapon against Jews, and this is why they will remain stateless and refugees forever, because this is their purpose. No one has no interest to solve their issues. Palestinian suffering is the weapon against Israel, and this is their sick, um, unfortunate life. But it's not a tragedy; it's a strategy, and people need to understand this. If they want it to change, they need to wake those Palestinians up. Either they control their own destiny, or be fucked.
What it is, let's just go with what Ace is saying. So She's saying that she doesn't believe in these things. She just don't want to see children dying. Okay, how are we gonna stop that? Do you have a
Don't
solution?
exploit children. Yeah, don't exploit children by style. Don't send them to terror camps. Don't indoctrinate them
What
in
is the
schools.
No,
point
that's
of
not what I
just
meant.
repeating
That's not what
that
I
endlessly? I don't want to see children dying. I don't. Do these? They don't really think it through. They don't really understand how limited their own thinking is, and it's a challenging place to be because you don't ever want to say you're stupid, because that's not very nice to say. Well,
I
you're
have no
stupid.
problem
You're fucking
with not
stupid.
being
Did
nice.
you ever, just to say this, you ever fucking think it through? You fucking stupid. If you don't want the fucking children to die, how we gonna fucking get the children to fucking stop dying? You ever fucking think it through? You don't want to talk that way, because that's not a very nice way to talk. And yet,
Yeah.
thank you. I am
You know what
complete.
it
I'm
is?
complete. Thank you.
You know what it is? I think this is God vindicating his name. You know, when you read Joel chapter 3, it talks about how the
Yeah,
Palestinians stole from God
I don't
and
think that the
removed.
Palestinians are mentioned in any of the books, dude.
Hey, read Joel 3, man. I'm telling you, powerful chapter.
Give me
Does
one
it
No,
chapter
say the
that mentions the word
Palestinians?
Palestinians.
It
let me
says
let me read it to
Palestinian.
you. Hold on, let me read it to you. Let me read it to you.
Yeah. Who sold you this Bible? Al Jazeera? The word
Nah,
Palestinian
look, look at
is
this, look
not
at this, look
mentioned
at this, look at this.
in none of the books.
Joel 3:4. This is God speaking through the prophet Joel. It says, "What are you to do? What are you to me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all of the regions of Palestine? Are you paying me back for something?"
What kind of translation is
Where are you
that?
reading this from? Where are you reading this from? Dude, where are you
What
reading
kind of
this from?
translation is
Seriously.
that?
Hey, read it. Hey, go read it in whatever
Which
translation you
verse?
got.
Where?
Big
Wait,
Which verse?
verses
Joe.
four,
Brandon,
What
verses
is
four,
Brandon,
it?
verses
seriously.
four,
Hold on,
What?
verses four. Joel
Hold on. The
3:4.
word Brandon, the word Palestine does not exist in any of the books. Okay, if
Well,
your
well,
book
of
says, hold
course,
on one second,
Palestine.
Brandon,
Uh-huh.
hold on.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
your
yeah.
books mention the word Palestine, I don't know where you bought it, but it's not any religious book. It's a translation, it's a manipulation, and it don't invoke a religious text by manipulating it. Not that I think the religious text has any
You said
relevance, but
Job
if you
3:4?
3:4. That
Joel,
doesn't make sense.
Oh,
Joel.
Joel,
Yeah, 3:4. Chapter 3, verses 4. Get it in
the
your
book of
translation, man.
Joel.
Yeah. I would want to see what it says. I want to see what it says in your translation. Cause I know what you're saying, Daniel. You know, Palestine is an English word, right? So in the Hebrew, it say Philistia or something like that. So I'm just saying it
No,
says it.
those Plishtim are people, are seamen that came from Greece.
I
Okay,
agree.
and
I agree.
but it has nothing to. But the fact that it sounds similar,
No, I'm
it's not the
saying
same
that
people.
these Palestinians, they're claiming to be those people. So you might as well just make them
They
people, man.
claim they claim a lot of things. Okay, they
I know,
claim
but make
every
just
day they
make
will
you
claim
know what I'm
something
saying.
else.
You might as well just make them people, man. They claim to be those people. Hey, they're gonna reap the punishment of those people, man. And they're acting like those people. Because you gotta realize the Philistines, they've been fighting against the Jews for generations,
Well, it
man.
does say Philistia, but I always thought the Palestinians and the
Different.
Philistines were two different people. Is that true or
They
not?
are.
Nah, it's
They
not.
are different.
They're not.
Well, wait, then
They
why are
claim
they not called Philistinians?
because well, if you go into the Arabic, it is how do you say it in Arabic? It's with an F.
Palestine.
Palestine. It's
That's
literally
only
the
because
same
they
Yeah,
thing.
can't. Then why
but
is it spelled with a P?
listen,
Then why is it
Because
listen.
it's
ever?
Exactly.
English. Because it's English. In
Listen,
Yeah, but
if
English,
they
Arab
claim
Well,
that,
in
wait.
if
Did
they
the
are
English,
English?
claiming that they
listen.
So
are
who
it,
named it?
in
The
just
You're
enough,
English?
English.
disproving
Did the
yourself. You're
English name
disproving
it, or did
yourself.
the
The
Arabs
Arabs don't
name
have
it?
a
It,
P.
no, hold on. Because
Who
you're
no,
reading
no,
in
named
the
it?
word
English.
Plishtim,
You're
the
Who
word
reading in
named
Plishtim,
English.
it?
Hold on. You're
the
reading
word,
the
hold on, the
English
word
Who
Plishtim,
translation.
the
named
word
it?
You're
Plishtim,
reading the
one
English
second.
translation. That's what I'm saying.
The word
Who named
Plishtim
it?
means,
Yeah.
hold on, my friend. The word Plishtim means invaders. Okay, if this is their narrative, fine. It kind of proves that again they have no claims to the land. They're invaders. They were
Because they're
invaders.
not.
They are
Because
invaders. They will be
yeah.
invaders.
But that's
The
the
thing.
point. The modest day
No, the
Palestinians
Philistines were
today were
Greek. The
created
Philist.
to
No, no,
be
no, no, no.
invaders of the Jewish land and to,
You got it
get
wrong.
rid of Zionism. That's the point.
The Philistines were invaders from Greek islands.
I know
They were
that.
not Arab.
I
And yeah,
agree. I agree. I know that that's a fact, but I'm saying because they're saying that they're these people, you might as well just make them. And God works in spiritual ways sometimes, man. I'm telling you, He really does.
Well, that part makes sense.
And if you even read the rest of the, even if you read the rest of the verse, look, let me read it real quick. It says, "What are you to do? What are you to me? Pardon me, O Tyre and Zidon, on all the region of Palestine. Are you paying me back for something? Question mark. If you are paying me back,
Could you read it in an American accent? Is it possible for you to do
I,
this?
I
I'm
don't
just
know if I
no.
could do that.
Please
so this
continue.
is this
Continue,
is
please.
listen. This is the King James version. It says, "Yeah, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Philistia? Will you render me recompense? Recompense, and if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head?"
So He's gonna recompense them on their own head. Verses 5. For you have
Yeah,
taken
but
my
it
How
silver
can
doesn't.
and
somebody recompense you on your own head?
bro, that's what God said He's gonna do to them. That's the point. So
Yeah,
when
but
I see what's
no one
going
is
on, let me.
disputing the Philistines were there, but you're saying
Well,
Palestinian, which is different.
I'm saying. Well, obviously, I'm saying Palestinian is the English way of saying Philistine. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
this is what you got wrong.
All right. I mean, if that's what you want to say, I mean, you could track it through history, innit? I wonder why the British called it the Mandate of Palestine. Where did they get that idea from? Like,
Yes, but you need to understand that the definition, like Palestinian today, is a national identifier for these people that call themselves Palestinians,
They
right?
say that
But
they
if you,
Knafi.
hey, let me
yeah,
just finish reading this verse because I actually want to show you something that's very, very
no, no,
interesting.
no. But do you understand what I'm telling
I
you?
understand what you're
That
saying.
80 years ago, Palestinians were Jews. They were not even Arab. Do you
I
understand
know
that?
that there were Jews, Christians, Druze. I 110% know that. It
Yeah.
wasn't a term denoting ethnicity. It was a term denoting nationality during that time period that the
There
British
was a
occupied.
people called the Philistines, right?
Yeah, and that was
And
an
because
ethnic
and
group.
because today there's a resemblance between saying Philistine and Palestinian, you're claiming that these are the exact same people, and that's not the case.
Nah, no, I'm not claiming that. I said because these lot are claiming that title and those people, you might as well just make them those people. That's what I said. That's what I
Well, it's
said.
all very
But
confusing because the Arabic people can't say the letter P. They call
Exactly.
them Palestinians. And then they say, oh, the land of Palestine is the same as the Philistines and the Palestinians of today. The whole point is it's a fake identity. That they
But that's the
Palest
Arabs' claim. Let them claim. I'm
Uh,
saying to you, let them, because that's what the Arabs say. This Arabs say the Palestinians are the descendants of the Philistines. That's what they
they
say.
can claim
So
whatever they
let them
want to
claim
claim.
it.
Nobody has a
No,
problem
hey,
with
hey,
them
brother,
claiming.
listen, hear what I'm saying. Let them claim it because look at what this verse says will happen to the Philistines. Just listen carefully. Are you paying me back for something? Question mark. If you are paying me back, I'll return your payment on your own head swiftly and speedily. For you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried my treasures, pardon me, my rich treasures into your temples. You have sold the people of Judah and Jerusalem to the Greeks in order to remove them far from their border. So the reason why God is punishing the Philistines is because they sold the Judites and the inhabitants of Judah to the Greeks. You see what's going on here. Look what it says in verse 7. Behold, I will stir them up, meaning the Judites and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, from the place to which you have sold them, and I will return your payment on your own head. So if you really clock what's going on here, God is saying, because you sold my people in slavery to the Greeks, I'm gonna make my people come back from the Greeks, and these people are gonna mash you up, basically. They're gonna beat you up, they're gonna repay you for what you done. So I'm just letting you know, if you let them claim that in the Bible, God says you can smoke them. I'm just letting it clear. That's why I said it's a big spiritual thing, what I'm seeing here. Every time I see it, I'm like, wow, I wonder why would the devil claim to be these people when he knows that in the Bible, these people are meant to be done for according to God, and their punishment is peak upon peak. So that's what I'm saying.
I'm getting this.
But where did most of the Jews come from? From you know the European. I'm saying they came from Greece and then they spread into Europe, and then they come back from them places in Europe in 1948. Then they start mashing up the Palestinians. It's mad how God works spiritually. I'll be real. Like you gotta look.
Anyway, just saying that you don't like seeing children dying. I understand. No one wants to see children dying, but it's sort of like the lazy option, right? Like you don't look into understanding the conflict, why the situation is the way it is, truly understanding like both sides and
Right, it's stupid.
understanding how you can solve. It's not necessarily stupid. It's kind of like we can't expect everyone to know everything about the conflict, but like at least when you spend like hours and
Samson, I'm
days
sorry.
and
After
years on
two
this app,
years,
like yeah, I agree. Like you
after
gotta
2 years,
you have to
yes,
learn.
I mean, this is why I also lost my passion. If we're talking to the same people, and they bring the same points that they already know that they considered them in another conversation, then it's just being about dishonest and about protecting their own moral backbone. Because if they would admit at some point that they've been, it's hard to admit that you've been fooled and exploited. And yes, people like Ace and others are being exploited and used and brainwashed. But at some point, they would have to acknowledge that they are the ones that's supporting child abuse, rape, murder of civilians, and all those things that they are supposedly against. And I do understand why it's hard for a person to accept this. It's a total moral collapse. Who wants to believe that they support Nazi? No one.
You know,
No
um,
man, but you know what it says in what's that Ezekiel 18, the last verse. It says that God wishes that no human being should die, and that all should repent. But God rightfully says that there has to be a punishment, and He does everything measure for measure. You know, so
Are you Christian? Are you Christian?
yeah, I proclaim Christ. I
Yeah.
proclaim
So when the
Christ.
second coming, God is not coming with a normal stick, taking care of the sheep. He's coming with a sword. That means people die. Okay, Brandon, check your Bible, Revelation.
I agree with that.
Okay, so don't say nobody die. I
I
mean,
didn't say
throughout
that.
the
I didn't say that.
okay, so the
I'm
whole
saying
idea is
I'm
the
saying
whole
that.
idea is being Jews means unfortunately it come with a fine print. The moment they are always the bait because they are the light. That means they have to be the bait. They are the one going around wherever they go, divide people who remain righteous, light, and the rest of barbaric darkness. That is their job. They're just simply doing their job. If you cannot see this, then you don't understand your Bible. That's their job.
No, I understand people do their job.
Okay?
And God darkens the hearts of people and the eyes of people and the ears of
Yeah,
people that don't want to
exactly.
listen.
Right now, just like Exodus,
I
this
don't know
is the
about that.
time. This is the time, right? Before they get released from Egypt, right? God has to harden all the wicked leader, all the wicked people, make them hard. They're going to
Right.
kill as many Jews as possible.
Before the Messiah comes,
It's
the wicked leaders' hearts get corrupted again. Gog and Magog, the country of Iraq. It names
one step
countries
at
in
a
that book.
time.
It names a lot of countries, Sudan and Ethiopia, and it
Yeah, but
names.
the main
So
three
I'm saying,
countries,
and
the main three
I'm saying,
countries are still doing their job. Iran just declared war in Israel and USA just yesterday, right?
yeah, I see
So
that. I see
Iran,
that.
right? And here many Turkish come and say, please have
But
mercy for
ain't
Turkey.
that why? Isn't that why God says He's gonna make His name great for the war that will happen?
Yeah, but
He's gonna make the kingdoms know that He is God.
correct. But for doing so, you need people who are designated as light, as bait. Otherwise, God can't do the job.
Yeah,
Okay.
110%. I agree.
Yeah, so you need people who go around pro-life, right? That means they're not interested in killing, they are promoting life, right? And people who want to kill the people first on Saturday, then come the people on Sunday. These are the real enemy.
I agree. Yeah, man.
Yeah, okay.
But you know, even some of my Christian, well, I wouldn't even call them Christians, but you know, some of the people that claim to be Christians, they're enemies too, man, because they believe
And
Jesus is
they,
God.
they lack
You know, and
understanding.
any Christian that believes Jesus is God from the New Testament is in error and corruption. That's
Mm.
why a lot of Jews
See?
don't accept Christ, right?
Well,
But you know, that's another story. But the
look,
Jews do a good thing so far, man. I love them. They keep their Torah, you know, they make sure they do the Yom
I
Kippur, the
think if you
Pesach,
hang around
and so on and
enough
so
with
forth.
them, you hang around enough with them, you understand it is not your power. God decide
I agree. No,
who,
that's my point. Because you
yeah,
see, when you read
God decide
Romans,
who stay as Jewish
right?
Judaism. God decide a small percentage of them become Messianic Jews. It's not your
Nah, nah,
power.
nah, nah, nah. See,
Okay.
Messianic Jews. You see the Jews for Jesus, they're corrupt. They're no Messianic Jews. No Messianic. No Messianic.
Again, you can
They're
say
corrupt. They're
corrupt
corrupt. But
whatever,
hear
but
me
the
out, David. Dave. Pardon me. Hear me out. It's like this, right? When you read the book of Romans, it tells you that the Jewish people won't ever believe in the Messiah until he comes in his second coming. That's what the book of Romans I think that's chapter 11
Yeah,
says.
yeah. And who wrote the Romans? Who wrote the book of Romans?
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah.
And what language did he write it in?
You read in Greek.
Because whom was he really appealing to? He
Well, he's
couldn't
talking
write.
to
He
the
could
he was
what?
talking to the Roman church, which
Yeah,
were
he was kissing up to them because you
that
want to give
no
a message
that
to
consisted
Aramaic Jews. What language do you think you would write that in?
well, they weren't Aramaic Jews. They were Jews that lived in Rome, so they
Aramaic
spoke
speaking Jews.
they spoke
Okay,
Greek.
Jews
The
spoke
Jews in
Aramaic.
Jew,
Spoke Aramaic.
Jew
They
I
really.
know that I know that, but the Jews in Rome they were speaking Greek too, so he written Greek,
What about the
especially
Jews that
because
were in Judea?
well he didn't speak to the Jews in Judea. He didn't write a
Why?
letter to
Why?
them
Why would he not?
because they had Peter and James.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I don't
But you
know.
know,
You
let
know.
me just say this real quick. And it's what I was saying, right? The reason why a lot of Jews don't believe in Christ is because these Christians who claim to be a Christian, they're not real Christians. They think you don't have to keep Torah. Jesus never taught that in the New Testament. Neither did any of his apostles, right? And they think that Jesus said he was God. Jesus never taught that. Neither did any of his apostles. Read the New Testament. I promise you. Jesus claims to be a Messiah, you know, claims to be a son of David. He claims to be a prophet. And these are the things, you know, that all of his apostles claimed he was. And,
Apostles were written
you
a
know,
hundred years after. None of them even saw Jesus personally. You understand this is a broken telephone. Secondly, I'd like to assert that a
mm,
different movement among Jews at the time when you had several movements, you had Sadducees, you had Essenes, you had
right.
Pharisees, and you had this Nazarites, okay? It wasn't earth shaking, okay? It is reported a hundred years later by people who have certain narrowly focused on this. One second.
Hey, you're good, Sandy. And you harped on the Nazarites, man. That's good. You know your information. So, yeah, man.
No, he was
The
from
resurrection of
Nazareth. He was from
Christ.
Nazareth, and they created a story to fit the story that he had to go to Bethlehem. There is no reason for him to go for a census to Bethlehem. That was a fabricated story to squeeze in that Davidic dynasty bit. Okay, he was a carpenter. He wasn't from the royal lineage.
Yo, he
Okay,
was a carpenter. I'm not disagreeing with that.
so he wasn't from the royal lineage like they're trying to show that he was from the lineage of David. The
I think
lineage
he
of
was. I
David
think he was.
well, I don't know.
Says he was, because you think the lineage of David means that you have to like be, because you got to remember by that time you got to remember there was the Maccabean war, and then the priests became the kings, right? So there was a whole corruption there, which isn't allowed according to the Torah. So then that's why when the Romans came, and then the forced conversion of the Edomites came, we have now Herodians, the Herodian dynasty sitting on the throne, which are damn Edomites, not even Davidic line. So you're expecting the Davidic line to be in the temple already, you know, being living a lavish lifestyle.
I'm not
God,
even going
no,
there.
that
I'm
would
not even
never
going
happen
there.
in that time of history, man. Because
I'm
the
not
Herod,
going there.
I'm saying, so of course the son of David would have grew up in poverty because the lineage the lineage of David at time had been dethroned, right? So you wouldn't have seen it as a succession from throne to throne in the
Yeah, but
house
the guy.
of David.
Okay,
And, you
but
know, so on and so forth.
there
So
was
it's, you
no
know.
census. Okay, listen, there's no census. There's no recording of the Romans that people had to move from one village to another place to be recorded in that census. That was written 100 and some odd years later to give more of a Davidic character, so then they can go on and say that he was of the line of David. He was from where everyone thinks he was from. He was from Nazareth. He was a Nazarite. He wasn't. It was a distortion, like many of the distortions
Hmm.
that will happen after you write something down 100 years later.
Hmm.
You know that the Gospels were written 100 years later, or 50 years later, but they were written much later. They weren't written in real time.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I mean,
Okay, now
50
a
years later
critical
isn't
thinking approach would be
50.
how
Hold on,
curious it
Stanley. Let me just
is.
answer
How?
that. Let me just
What do you want
answer
to
that.
say? What do you want to
Yeah.
say?
Something being written like 30 to 50 years later isn't a defeating claim, because the New Testament isn't a claim of divine origin that God gave all of this before it happened, so we
Does
know
it
when it
claim that
happens.
these miracles
Wow.
happened? Does it
I'm
claim that
just
people
I'm just
walked on
trying to
water?
I'm talking about the written document. It's not like the
Oh,
Torah.
listen,
It's
you're
not
not
like
listening.
hold on, Stanley, you're not listening. It's not like the Torah which God actually had in heaven and he gave to Moses, like, you know, he copied, right? The New Testament is recorded events that happen in real history. So those events had to have happened first, and then someone writes it down. Yes, those events have divine meaning because Jesus did fully raise people from the dead, heal the sick, and forgive people's sins
And
by
how
the
do we know
mission
that?
of
How do
God
we know that? How do we know that? What is our
because of
medium? Because
because
it's
of the
written
story
down in
that
a
was written.
document, because it's written down in a document that was written much, much later by someone who never saw it. Okay? Now, this
No,
is, if
Matthew
you want,
saw it.
what?
He saw it and he
Who
wrote down
saw it?
Matthew.
Who saw it?
Matthew.
Matthew
He
saw it.
Matthew
Okay.
saw it and he wrote it down. Same with Mark. Well, Mark didn't. Technically, Mark didn't see it firsthand, but Peter is the teacher of Mark, and Mark was the scribe of Peter. So he scribed everything Peter said. So that's there you go for Mark.
I don't know. I
Luke.
think it's easier to believe these things when they're written down on
Mhm.
a paper than I don't know why the people who actually lived during the time didn't believe it. Why
It well,
would people
according
who
to the
saw it?
book, according to the book, a lot of people
Exactly.
did
But what's
believe.
more reliable? What's more reliable? People who lived and allegedly saw it or did not see it? Why is it that nobody that lived in that time, those Jewish people that get condemned for not
Mhm.
believing or rejecting, why would they reject something that they saw in front of their own eyes? Let's think and scratch our heads really hard. Maybe they didn't see it. Maybe because it didn't happen. Maybe that's why they had to wait 100 and some odd years to write it down
Well,
so people would
maybe
believe.
because some people just didn't want to believe, just
They
like
did. No, no,
some
wait, 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 wait,
just like
wait, wait,
some
wait.
people didn't want to believe in
Why
Moses.
would somebody not
They
want
saw
to
they
believe?
saw everything that happened in the wilderness, and some didn't believe, and they turned back and
Why
they
would they?
flaunt
You know
in
why you're
the way.
saying they don't want to believe?
Stanley, hold
Because
on,
the cousin of saying they don't want to
Stanley,
believe is saying that
Stanley,
they're evil. You want to say a whole
Stanley.
people. You want to say a whole
Not a
people are
whole
evil.
people. No, it
They're
wasn't a whole
satanic.
people.
They're the synagogue of Satan. Why don't you just say it?
I don't. No, I actually don't think that at all.
You don't
That's
think that,
I
but the
don't.
blood libel people and the crusade people and the Inquisition
But that's
people.
why I said those Christians are wrong. They're not actual Christians because
Well,
those same Christians believe you don't have to keep Torah. I believe you have to keep Torah.
it's
And
none
I'm
of your
saying to you,
business if Jews have to keep Torah or not. Let them mind
I'm
their own
not. No,
business.
I'm saying those Christians you're talking about. I'm
Who
saying
cares
they're
about
not.
those Christians?
I'm
What I'm
saying they're
talking
not real
about,
Christians because they
yeah.
don't accurately depict the teachings of Christ. Do you
Well,
see my point?
they may not
So
be real
I'm saying they're
Christians,
wrong.
but they were real murderers, okay? And they
They
murdered
were real
people.
murderers, and I agree, and they're going
And
to
they
be
did it,
judged for
and
that.
they did it because they're employing the method that you're employing, reading a text not critically, and they jump to
I am reading
conclusions.
it critically. That's why I
I
disagree
don't
with
know.
them.
Okay.
If I wasn't
Well,
reading it critically, I would agree with them and say
then
I hate all Jews, but I
you
don't
can
say that.
understand that there are differing opinions, and it doesn't make someone evil because they rejected. They didn't reject Jesus. They ignored Jesus. They didn't consider Jesus. He
I don't
wasn't
think it's
considerable.
evil,
It's
Stanley.
not
That's
the
why you
same.
miss. Hold on, you missed the whole point. I started off by saying I have no problem with Jews not believing in Jesus because Romans 7 says when Jesus comes in his second coming, every Jew would believe. So
Well, let's think about what
it's
you just
nothing.
said.
It's nothing to do with
Let's
me.
just, but let's think
Like
about what you
you're
said.
going back to me, man. Like it's crazy. But go ahead.
No, let's think about what you just said. You
Yeah.
have no problem with the whole people not believing in something because your
Yeah.
text says that it's okay. Do you see where the problem is right now?
Yeah.
Do you ever take the perspective of the actual people who lived through it? Why don't you say I have no problem with people
Mhm.
not accepting something as incredulous as those events because people have the right to have those opinions?
I mean, they
But you
do
say
have
you
the right.
refer to
They
your
do have
text
the right to have
because
those
it's a
opinions. I didn't say
Christian-centered
they don't.
opinion.
Go
Because
no.
you have a
Stanley, you're
Christian-centered
guessing
opinion.
again.
What?
Stanley, you're guessing again. I never said you don't have the right to your own opinion. Even
Well,
God
you
says
didn't
you're.
say that we did.
Yeah, I didn't say that. Even God says you have your right to your own opinion. That's why He says when He puts the Torah before you, choose today, good
Make it
or
what?
evil. You know, so you always have a choice. But this is what I'm saying to you, right? The Jews that believed Christ in His first coming, they have first right to the call of the election of God, right? But the Jews who did not accept, right? Like it
Yeah,
says in
that's fine.
Romans 11, like it says in Romans 11:26. And in this way, all Israel will be saved. As it is written, the deliverer will come from Zion. He will banish ungodliness from Jacob. And this will be my covenant with them when I take away their sins. So this happens after the second coming. This specific verse in Romans 11. And that's why I have no problem with Orthodox Jews, conservative Jews, so on and so forth, not believing in Christ's resurrection. Because all it takes is Christ to come back, and it proves he did resurrect, and they would say, okay, he's the Messiah. That's it. We can't deny it. You know.
And when do you think that's going to happen?
When he comes back, I think it's bubbling up to the time now because all of the biblical prophecies in the Old Testament are starting to come into fruition, like Ezekiel 36 to 37. We're waiting for Ezekiel 38, which is Gog and Magog, and you can kind of see it kind of coming, bubbling up if you know political restraints and how the world's moving. So it's quite interesting, man. It's quite interesting.
It's
I used,
interesting.
yeah, when you read, especially when you read Zechariah too, and it speaks about how the nations will come against Jerusalem and Judea, and this is when God will pour the Spirit upon the inhabitants of this
Well,
city.
how long have you been a Christian for?
Boy, for a very long time, for about 10 years,
May I ask,
specific.
so like, how old were you
Yeah,
when you made this decision?
I was 13,
You were
12.
13 years old, and how did you
Yeah.
get to be exposed to this? How did you decide, and who influenced you, if anybody? What made you realize that this is what you're thinking is your version of the
The
truth?
Bible, the New Testament itself. When the Jews accused Jesus of changing the law, the accusation was a false one. And it literally
Wow.
says it. They brought up false witnesses claiming that Jesus said this and this and this. Same with all the other apostles. And then I fact checked it. When you look in the Talmud, right, it
Yeah.
speaks about some of the people that they executed with Jesus, right? And it's literally the same names. Netanyahu, so on and so forth. I'm thinking, hold on. So
It
we're gonna
doesn't
sit
say.
here and
It
say,
does not say in the Talmud that the Jews executed Jesus. That's a misread.
well,
Doesn't say
it
that they
says
did.
on
No, we know.
Pesach.
Admit
It
who
says on
executed the Jews. Who
well
did it?
Romans. Oh, but it says on
Well, okay. You see what
in
happens. You see what happens when.
let's read it. Hold on, let me get it up. Let's read it. Let's read it. Let's bring this up.
But that you see is a very critical point.
I understand that, but we have to read it from the Talmudic perspective because the reason why they put it like that.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
did they say that the Jews execute? I'll learn something if it's there to learn.
And I could be wrong. My memory might be serving me wrong, but
And
I'm
you
gonna
know
get
that
this up.
everything that's written in the Talmud, you know that everything that's written in the Talmud is argued against too. That there's always a different.
110%. Yeah, I studied the Talmud.
Huh?
Jesus tells us to study the Talmud and the Mishnah and Tosefta and stuff like that. So
I
I
don't know
take,
that Jesus
you know,
tells him to study the Talmud because the Talmud wasn't written until much after Jesus died. So
I
I don't
agree
know.
with that. But anachronistically, what I'm saying is he says to obey the oral tradition. That's what I'm saying. And we get this from Matthew 23:1. The Pharisees and scribes that sit in Moses' seat do whatever they tell you. That's what Jesus says. Do whatever they tell you.
Well,
And there's
Jesus was
no ifs and
essentially a
buts about
Pharisee.
it.
Jesus was essentially a Pharisee that went astray,
Well,
wasn't he?
that's your side of things, you know. But
Well, wasn't he a rabbi? Didn't they say Jesus was
yeah,
a rabbi?
he is a rabbi, man.
Well,
Yeah,
then we're
no.
saying
See what I'm
no,
saying?
but if you're gonna say
But he
Jesus
was
is
a
a
rabbi
rabbi,
that he's the Messiah though. He was the best
no, if
rabbi.
you're
You
gonna
get it?
say Jesus is a rabbi, you're essentially saying he's a Pharisee. You know
I
that.
agree. I agree. But
All right, so he was a
but
Pharisee.
he is the Messiah more than
I didn't
anything.
say
That's the
that.
point. I know you don't say that, but that's the problem.
I don't know that
They
he really said that. Did he really say that bluntly in real time? Did he
yeah,
say,
he
"I am
did.
the Messiah"?
Yeah, yeah. When the
Well,
woman at the well said to him, I we will know all things when the Messiah comes. He said to her, the one that stands in front of you, meaning himself, I am
yeah,
he.
but in which
I am the
gospel is that
Messiah.
written in? In which
John 4.
gospel?
John chapter 4,
All
verses
right,
like 24. And
that's the
that
same
John,
John. That's the same John as John the Baptist, right?
no, that is John the Revelator, which was the most beloved disciple of Jesus. He was the one that was leaning on Jesus' side in the Passover when Jesus
And
partook
when
of the
was the Gospel
Passover.
of John written?
It was written in, I think, I think 10 years after the destruction of the temple, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 80.
Why wasn't it written in real time?
Because there was no time to do that. They was preaching the gospel in real time, doing miracles in real time. There wasn't time to write. So after all of these events happened, they had to write down so people understood what happened in this time for truth.
Yeah.
It's just like writing down the Maccabees, you know?
What
How
about
do
the
we
Maccabees?
know the story about Hanukkah if no one wrote it down and what Judah Maccabees done? And you know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't take anything face value. I know that
I understand
everything
that.
is written, and some makes sense and some doesn't make sense. There is a recorded archaeology proof that there were Hasmoneans and there was an empire, or not an empire, but a kingdom for 80 some odd years that was sandwiched between the Greek Empire and the Roman Empire. And there's fact to that. And there's historians that are neutral, like Roman historians and like Josephus and I think Philo that write about it.
Hmm.
And there's no fantastic, incredulous, miraculous stories that are not believable in any of these accounts.
Hmm.
It's all
You know,
straightforward.
Josephus talks about Jesus.
He mentions Jesus, he
Right.
describes Jesus, but he does not prescribe or endorse Jesus. Let's be
I
clear
agree
about
with
that.
that. But what does he say about Jesus? Does he say anything in contrary to what the New Testament says?
He doesn't. He doesn't say any of the miraculous messianic. He does not say Jesus is a Messiah.
Hold on.
Sometimes when you're silent, you are contradicting. But that's not the point right now. He doesn't endorse Jesus as a Messiah. So why is this relevant to the conversation? Why is that relevant?
How did
He does not
Somaliland
endorse.
turn into Jesus as the Messiah?
Because
Yeah, how did that? Yeah.
we was talking about end times and how I'm viewing what's going on with Israel and Palestine and other
No,
countries
it's
right now.
great that you
You
seem very
know.
enthused about Jesus, and I didn't mean to take someone out of their comfort zone and all this, but for me,
No,
it's
bro, I like it. Bro, I trust me. I love you, Stanley. I really do, man. But go ahead.
Aw.
I just get very very picky when we talk about events that happened 2,000 years ago, and we use words like Jews wanted this and they didn't want that and they rejected this, and I don't know. I think we have to give it a fair shake and say we don't really know until we were there. I
Do you
think
know what? Do you know what it is? I agree with that to some extent, yeah. Because
yeah.
I agree with the because you was bringing up when I said the Hasmonean, like the Maccabean, it was written down. We use that as information. You spoke about archaeology too, which is truthful. But we can do the same thing for Jesus. We have the New Testament, which is I would say is archaeological proof as well. But we also have outside archaeological evidence of the Nazareans who believed in keeping rabbinical tradition and Torah and believed that Jesus was the Messiah and he raised from the dead. They didn't
And when
believe
you
he
say
was
when
they
you
didn't
say
believe he was God,
Nazarenes, when you say Nazarenes, are
right?
you using the term as Nazirim, like priest, or Nazarite from the city of Nazareth?
Nazarite from the city of Nazareth
Right.
as the term associated with Jesus, but then it was later associated for the people that believed in Jesus as what Jesus taught. So when we say Nazarene, we're talking about the people
No.
who believe the original principles of what Jesus taught.
Wait. Because there's Nazarite, okay, which in Hebrew they say Notzri,
Yeah, I
okay.
know.
All right.
Yeah,
And then there's Nazir, which is another word altogether with other letters, okay.
right.
Nazir is
A
like a
vow.
monk or a priest. So
Is
when
it
we
is the
say Nazarene,
right?
what are we saying? Are we saying from the city of Nazarite, or are we saying from the priestly
This
class?
it's the city, the city. So the
Well,
city
then
is
that
where he's
okay.
from,
Not to correct you,
right?
but it would be Nazarite. It wouldn't be Nazarene,
Well,
unless,
well,
of course, there's a.
that's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying.
All
That's
right.
what I'm trying to explain. When we're talking about, because it's Nazareth, right? So when they translate the term as Nazarene, we're talking about the people who hold to the man who comes from that place and his teachings. So it developed into another meaning. That's what I'm saying to you. But look at this. I got Sanhedrin 43a up here. It says on the eve of the Passover. That's exactly the same as the New Testament. They hanged Yeshua. So that's talking about the Romans. So I'm agree with you. It's talking about the Romans. And the herald went out for 40 days saying, he is going to be stoned because he practiced sorcery and led Israel astray. So this is the claim. He done sorcery and he led Israel astray, meaning in
Let's
go
go
ahead.
back again. Okay, they're
Mhm.
saying Jesus did sorcery
Right,
and he led Israel astray.
right.
Okay, who's saying this now?
Well, this is I would say the people of the Talmud that are giving the quote.
All right. I don't know how successful he was in leading Israel astray. I don't know how many adherents he had, because if he had many of them, then you wouldn't be having this conversation. You wouldn't be saying that the Jews rejected Jesus. It's a
Well,
self
that's what I was
contradicting.
saying to you. I don't believe a lot of the Jews rejected Jesus. That's what I was saying to you. In his time, I think a lot of them did. When you read the New Testament, I said to you earlier, when you read the New Testament, a lot of them did. But the governing authority didn't. That's why Jesus always got into disputes with them.
Wait. The government authority, the Romans, didn't reject
No,
Jesus.
not the Romans, not no. You're not even listening. I said that the common people didn't reject Jesus. A lot of the Jews, they didn't reject Jesus,
Most of them
right?
did, though.
But
Most of them did.
The Pharisees that were in the governing party, like those people, heads of the synagogues, heads of the Sanhedrin, their disciples, they were fighting against Jesus. So, and they were the ones who had the power to persuade the Romans or persuade the common people to actually give over Jesus and get him executed. So, this is what's going on here. Look at the claim that they're making anyway. This is the point. And the herald went out 40 days saying, he is going to be stoned because he practiced sorcery and led Israel astray. So, practicing sorcery entails that he done some type of miracles, right? Because, for example, healing someone in the neck.
What's the source again? Who's saying that he practiced sorcery in the Talmud?
It says this is the Talmud, the Sanhedrin 43a.
All right, and that was also written hundreds of years after the events, by the way.
No problem, but we're saying the Jews at the time are even saying Jesus done some
And
miraculous
sorcery,
works,
let's be fair.
right?
Sorcery doesn't mean that he performed miracles. Sorcery may mean that he did magic tricks,
Well, that's the
sleight of
point. For
hand.
example, that's the point. This is the point. My point is from the authoritative Jewish perspective, meaning the Sanhedrin who sentenced him to death. They're claiming that the miracles he done, right, which are true miracles, are actually magic tricks. It's sorcery. That's what they're claiming, right? And they're claiming that he led the children of Israel astray, meaning he was trying to get the children of Israel to worship another god. That's the point. He's doing magic and he's trying to tell us to worship another God, right? But when you read the New Testament, Jesus is doing miracles, which isn't magic, and he's not telling you to worship another God. He consistently tells you to worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who is his father. So we have to actually examine the claim that these people are making about why they killed him. Do you see what I'm saying?
Now, again, the Romans killed him. I'll tell you why once again. And I heard this
Okay.
in a history lecture today, as a matter of fact. The
Right.
Jews were not new to different movements. The Jews always had, like I said, they had different parties. They had the ones that we know about, and they had
Hmm.
many that we didn't know about. It didn't rattle their world. It was a guy from Nazareth saying that he was this, that, or the other thing, and they really didn't need him to tell them to follow the laws of Moses, if you know what I'm saying. Okay,
They
what
didn't. It wasn't for the laws of
who was
Moses.
most concerned from this was the Roman Empire, because Jesus' emphasis was, do not focus on this world and the authorities of this world, focus on an authority from another world. And that scared the willies out of them. Okay, that scared the willies out of the Romans. They were going to have administrative problems if people were going to focus on this world rewards, this world pains, this world administration. And they were the ones who executed Jesus. And there's no talking around it. If they didn't do anything else that the Jews wanted, why are they going to start doing this? They were really intimidated by the Jews. Please,
No, it's not.
please.
It's not intimidation, because remember, the Jews claimed that he was leading the people astray, and
No, the
that
Jews
would
did
be
not
that
claim that. Which who no? That is a Christian-centered distortion of the facts. Like I said, several years later,
Sanhedrin 43a. On
what
the
did it
eve
say?
of Passover, they hanged Yeshua, and the herald went out 40 days,
Who
saying,
hung Yeshua? Who hung him?
the Romans. It
Why did
says,
they do that? Why did they do that?
A, because according to the New Testament, it says that they were
The
you know what I'm
Romans
saying?
didn't care about theology; they cared about order.
Yeah, exactly. And remember what the Jews, according to the New Testament, the Jews said, if you don't get rid of Jesus, you're not a friend of Caesar, because anyone who proclaims to be a king
Well,
is not a friend.
put it on the
But
chat. Put that on the chat where it says
yeah,
specifically that exactly everything you said. Put it on the
okay, no
chat.
problem. Um, this
Sanhedrin,
is
you said. Sanhedrin, right? Okay.
no, I'm talking not that part. That part was from the New Testament, but Sanhedrin
See,
43.
that's what I'm saying. You keep
You're not even. Hold on, brother. You need to listen.
you're
You're not
using the
even
New Testament.
Stanley,
Let me finish. But you're using the New Testament to defend the New Testament.
Stanley. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. You need to understand the argument I'm coming from. You're saying to me, right, that the Romans killed Jesus. I'm
Yes, they
agreeing with
did, and
you.
it's a known fact.
I'm agreeing with you, right? And I'm saying to you, even your Talmud says it, because it says they killed Jesus. We both agree on that. We're not disagreeing.
Right.
You're asking me, why would the Jews, well, or why would the Romans kill Jesus for the Jews? My
No,
answer
no, no, no,
isn't
no. They didn't
my.
kill Jesus for the Jews. They
Well,
killed.
that's
No,
I get that's what you're saying. I
no,
get
I
that's
didn't
what
say that. No, the
I get.
Romans killed
That's
the
what you just.
Romans killed
That's what you're
because for their own
saying.
interest.
That's what I know. That's what you're saying, bro. Like you got to listen to the. I know that's what you're saying,
Well, you
but you
just
got
said they killed.
you
You
got
just said they killed
But yeah,
Jesus for the
I
Jews.
know because that's my opinion, and I'm trying to show you something to why I come to that opinion. You have the reason why you come to your opinion. I have my reason. So I'm gonna show you. So the reason why I come to that
Right.
opinion is because in the
I
new.
gotta run. I gotta go. I'll be back.
No problem. Well, I'll just explain. The reason why I come to that opinion is because in the New Testament, the Jews make a claim to Pilate that
Brendan,
if
Stanley
anyone,
taking a break. Brendan,
yeah,
Brendan, how many use cases have you seen Orthodox Jews turn into Messianic Jews? How many cases have you
I
seen?
don't care about that. I actually don't care about
Why
that, to be fair,
why don't you learn
because
from?
it's not about that. I don't want to turn Jews into Messianic Jews.
Yeah. So what are you trying to tell Stanley about?
Well, with me and Stanley are just talking about the script. I think it's just a good conversation, man. I like having conversations, man. This
Well, you
isn't.
also like about end time, right?
Well, I was just showing the facts because in Sanhedrin 43a, it said the Jews are telling you the reason why Jesus was put to death, and it didn't even say anything against Rome. It literally says he is going to be stoned because he practiced sorcery and led Israel astray. Led Israel astray. So it's nothing to
Brandon,
do. It's
how
nothing to
often
do
you
with the
speak to
Romans. But
Jesus?
hold on,
Brandon,
Dave. Oh, go on.
how often do you speak to Jesus?
What do you mean by that? I don't know what you mean by
How
that.
often you communicate with God?
Like pray,
How often you
pray to
communicate
him.
with Jesus?
You mean like pray to him?
I mean, not only just pray. Pray is one way, right? We're talking about two-way communication. How often do you have it?
I don't pray to Jesus. Yeah, no, I don't pray to Jesus.
So you don't pray to anything.
No, I pray to God. I don't pray to Jesus.
When you say pray to God, is the Father of Jesus,
Yeah, God is the
right?
Father of
And that is
Jesus.
the God
Yeah,
of Israel, right? So you are
right,
praying to the God of Israel, correct?
right. I'm praying to the God
So,
of Jesus.
so you
Correct.
pray to the God of Israel
Right.
your own way, right? Your own way. You
No,
decided this is the way.
according to how the Torah permits.
Okay, that's fine. Are you a black Israelite or what?
No, I'm not a black Israelite.
Okay, because when the moment you use Edomite, the moment you use Edomite, it's already like Edomite come after Roman. Then I already sound a little bit
I didn't
fishy.
even say that though.
Well, okay,
I said that the Herodians are Edomites. Because remember the brother was saying that Jesus was a carpenter, so how
okay,
can he be the son
but
of
still, let's
David?
go back
And
to
I was saying, hey, no,
fundamental.
hold on, Dave, you gotta listen. The guy, the Jewish brother was saying, how can Jesus be a son of David? Because he was a carpenter. And I said, what do you expect? The lineage of David was dethroned by that time, by
Brandon,
not only by the Hasmodean dynasty, which were the priests, that was unlawful according to the Torah. I know
Brandon,
Saul will disagree,
I
but
hear you.
also the Herodians came in, which are Edomites, that also dethroned the lineage of David. So
Okay,
the
what
lineage of
point?
David were nowhere near the priestly ornaments, the priestly house. I mean, not priestly, pardon me, the kingly house, the kingly ornaments, or anything to like. None of that was in their possession at that point. It's all being
So,
usurped. So
so
Jesus would have been a low common man. You
Brandon,
know,
how do you classify your denomination? Unitarian?
I don't have a
No Jesus, no
denomination.
Holy Spirit?
I don't have a denomination.
Okay, fine. So why do you consider yourself Christian? Because you are Gentile?
Um, I mean, I consider myself Jewish. Funny enough, I'm a Jewish Christian. It's in my bio.
But but
Jew
but
Jewish
but
because I'll explain. Yeah, Jewish because we convert to the Commonwealth of Israel. We become connected to the Commonwealth of Israel. Christian because we done this through Christ. So it's very
you
simple.
done it through Christ, and yet you don't pray to Christ. You pray straight to is God of Israel, just like every Jewish and Orthodox, is doing. So what is the problem here?
Say that one more time.
I mean, you are both praying to the same source, right? God of Israel. You are bypassing
Yeah,
Jesus, right?
I knew
So
so I was
so
gonna go
so
mad.
why are you preaching Jesus and argument everything to a Jews when you are
I'm
both?
not preaching to the Jews, man. I was like I said to you, as I was just interested in the conversation because you know I just like having conversation with Jews, man. They're
But why?
smart, they're intelligent,
Okay,
bro.
okay, that's fine. But what I'm very curious is,
Hmm.
if you are praying straight to God of Israel,
Yeah.
and if you are very serious about that, then the more interesting question is, how is your communication protocol? Is your communication protocol speaking to God of Israel more robust than tradition that Jewish practice?
What
Have
do you
you
mean
asked a question
robust?
like that?
I'm
That
confused with what
means
you mean
like,
robust.
I mean, praying is one way, right? How often God of Israel speak back to you? And then you have to ask a question. Ask the Jewish here, those who are really religious, how often God of Israel, Hashem, speak back to them. This is far more important than to talk about Christ, which you don't believe, right? So you have this intellectual discussion with them. And if you don't hang around with Jews, many of them not interested to even touch on New Testament, right? So you keep citing stuff that they're not interested to touch on. There's no common overlapping point. So I don't understand
The
your
common overlapping point is the resurrection of the dead.
correct, but it has
Both Orthodox Jews, conservative Jews, so on and so forth, believe in the resurrection of the dead. Most Jews do. You know, unlike Sar. I don't know. I don't know if Sar. I don't know if Sar believes in the resurrection of the dead yet. But that's the most. That's the common ground. Also, keeping Torah is a common ground. Also, the way we worship God day and night is a common ground. Because we pray. We do shachrit. We do the rest of them. We do. More. Shemini Israel, right? So we do the same things. you know, and it's a
I'm not
beautiful
so
thing.
sure. I have the privilege that many Jews tell me one to one. What is more important is the moment you step out of your house. Hashem is already looking at you. And when the Jews I spoke to, the moment they step up, they know Hashem is looking at them. So they will on their best behavior. So if you are talking about death, that is far away. They're more interested every day. Are they doing the right thing? Every day, are they doing enough good things? You know,
Exactly the
this is
point.
far more important.
You have to be illuminated by the illuminator with the illumination. That's how I put it.
Yeah,
And
but
it's a beautiful thing.
do you feel it? Can you feel it? How often do you feel it? You can talk as much as you like, sound intellectually. Have you spiritually experienced that firsthand? If you can't, it's just all in your brain, words, has no spiritual experience,
But
then
that's
you
why
are
you
not
have to bring it
religious.
down,
You have
right?
no religious experience.
That's why you have to bring it down through Bina.
No, I ask you one more time. How often
I'm
you have
telling you,
first-hand
it comes from
experience?
Keta, it goes to the, you know what I'm
Have
saying,
you
goes to
have first-hand
Chachma, and then it goes
experience?
to Bina. The energy flows down,
Have you have
you know.
first-hand
It-
experience?
it's known sometimes as the Holy Spirit too.
I mean, you have first-hand experience. You see, Jewish
I'm
they
telling you,
practice
yes.
Shabbat.
I'm telling you, yes.
I haven't hear anything.
Well, maybe you haven't been listening because you know,
What I hear is
remember,
intellectual words,
God.
no
But that's the
no
point because
reflection of first-hand experience communicating with God.
From Keta, it has to come down to Chachma, then it comes down to
You
Bina,
can
right?
say
And
all these things,
then you
but
can,
but it doesn't
but maybe you
reflect
don't
you have.
understand that yet. Those are the
No,
three
it
first
doesn't
paths
matter
that you have to
if
go
what
down
you
first.
say doesn't reflect you have been
And
touched
the
by God,
illumination,
then you are
right.
still far away.
But what is to be touched by God? It means to have fear in Him, right?
You have what? So again,
What does it mean to be touched by God? It means to have fear in Him, correct?
fear. Do you use the
Yeah,
word fear?
yeah, fear.
That's the last thing.
No, that's not the last thing. The beginning of
That is the
wisdom,
last thing.
the beginning of wisdom is the
This is
fear of
why you
God.
haven't been touched by God. You have no idea
You
what
said
is
it's
the
the last
interaction
thing,
with
but it's the
God.
beginning of wisdom, sir.
So
Is it?
what?
Wait, hold on, Dave. You're telling me it's not a fact that the beginning of wisdom is the fear of Hashem? The beginning, it's not the last. So this is why I'm saying you're not listening.
Well,
I'm trying to
everyone is
tell you.
different. Everyone is different. Everyone has different degree of fear, right? And God know exactly how to individualize the communication. It seems like you have not.
Well, maybe I'm not getting through to you, and I don't have to
Yeah.
get through to everyone. Maybe my message is not for everyone. You know, you
No,
learn that
that's not
sometimes.
fear.
And
It's
you know,
love.
Jesus also learned that. You know, his message weren't for everyone. That's why
Fear,
That's
fear,
why them Sanhedrin Pharisees were bugging out on Jesus because
fear
they
has
didn't have
no
the ears to hear.
basis
You know what
in
I'm
the
saying?
foundation of a real communication with God. Love is love. When
I
you
agree.
use
I agree.
fear, means your foundation is very wrong.
I agree. I like
Yeah.
love.
So
Love is the
stop
best
using
thing.
the word fear. I hear fear only from Muslim.
Man.
Full obligation with no questioning, no asking,
I wonder
no reading of Quran. Full obligation. Love doesn't work this way. Okay? Love doesn't work.
if you're, I
Individual
mean, it
love is
does.
what
It
you get
does. It
from
does.
God.
If my
I
parents
tell you
told,
one more time.
listen,
I'm so sorry. I'm so
Dave,
sorry you have
Dave,
wasted your 11 years.
Dave,
Individual love means God look at you. Where are you right now? Are you still crawling? Are you
David,
trying to
Dave,
stand up?
Dave,
This is what individual love. Very sorry you have not experienced this.
Dave.
Okay?
I see what you're saying, and I understand where you're coming from, right? But I do think there is love in fear. I do think that. I'll give you an example, right? You have a
Well,
child. Let me give you an example. You have a child, very young. Um, you instill the fear of running into the road. You tell them do not run into the road in a very passionate, very authoritative tone, and it brings fear into them. They fear running into the road, right? And that's out of love, correct, Dave?
well, it depends on your culture, right? So I think in a lot of non-Western culture, fear is the primary way to educate, right? And then if you live enough in the West, you see the children know how to wait at the traffic light, and the parent. And if you want to help the children, it's not the parent's job alone. If you are next to these children, you wait patiently for the traffic light because you want the children to have the right role model, right? And none of it is fear. It's all about setting right example, right? So I'm very sure you come from a culture where very suppressive, based on fear. I'm very sorry. It doesn't work like that. God relationship. Never.
I don't
Well,
even come from a
the
culture of
relationship
fear.
between us and God is so much with a father, what we compare a father to a son. What is what we
Exactly. If
call
you are a, let's say you are a father, right?
one second,
Then
one second,
whether you are
Yeah,
in the
1 second, Dave.
Middle East or
1 second.
Western,
One
is
second,
different
Dave. You
way.
can't. One
One
Okay.
second, Dave.
second.
I put him on mute. Go on,
Yeah.
Dave.
So a father disciplines. He corrects. You know what I mean? So we could understand fear in the aspect of being disciplined when we're in the wrong, when we've been told to do something and we go opposite of it. And then fear also losing a relationship. Okay. So that's the other side of the fear there. And when we compare it with love, you fear the disobeying God because if you disobey God, not only would you have consequences, but you lose the relationship. He hides his face from you.
Yeah,
You
you
know what I mean?
compromise the love. You
Right.
compromise it. You know.
Exactly.
If look at this as well, sir. In Deuteronomy 4, no, Deuteronomy 5, verses I think 19 on down. It's very interesting. God just spoke the Ten Commandments, and the Jews have heard it and they've seen the fire,
Yeah, I changed my
and
opinion on that too.
they've seen.
You hear
And
me?
yeah. I want to hear what you're.
I think they did hear the 10.
Ah, yes. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
hey,
Mm-hmm.
good. Hey, good. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, so they've heard the Ten Commandments, yeah, and they've seen the fire, and they've seen the lightning, and they've seen the smoke, and they say, "Don't let us see the fire, lest we die." This is their fear. Their fear is death. God speaking brings death. That's their fear. And the spiritual meaning that I saw behind that. It's like when they heard each and every commandment, just the first 10, right? They remembered every time they disobeyed that commandment. So they were fearful that God was going to kill them for disobeying in the past. And when that opened up to me, it was like, wow, the might of God. So it's like they feared death. And he said, yo, what Moses, what they said, they're right in what they said. So you come to me, I'm gonna tell you everything else. You go to them, you tell them. That's how it works from now on. That's why God continuously sends prophets, right? So it's like, but just understanding that alone, God spoke 10 commands, and those 10 commands instilled a fear that they thought they was gonna die because they transgressed these commandments already. Big blew up in my head. Blew up in my head. But yeah, man, what made you change your mind?
Yeah, when I had read I was doing like like a overall reading of it, like a careful reading of everything. You know what I mean? Going through like the sequence of events or whatever. And then I was also paralleling it with Deuteronomy. What is it? Chapter? What chapter was that we had? Was it 4
Yeah,
and 5?
5, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I think they heard at least the 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Cause
everything else after that is. because after that, that's when Moses goes up into the cloud for 40 days and 40 nights,
Right.
and then that's when you get like the Exodus 25 all the way to what is it 30 31, I think so,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
that's when he comes down in 32, and they doing what they doing.
Right. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, man. And it's yo. That's why it's like, even when I was saying to you, I believe some of them heard thunder and they didn't hear the words because they were in disbelief. They were the ones that wanted to go back to Egypt. That's why they died in the wilderness. Do you get what I'm saying? That
Yeah, yeah,
generation.
yeah. They
They
heard all of
thought,
that.
yeah, I'm saying
Hmm.
they heard all thunder, lightning. They didn't even hear words. But the righteous ones, they heard the words in the midst of the thunder. Just like in the New Testament, when they said some people said it was a thunder. Some people said it was the voice of an angel. And someone said, "Did I hear it say, I have said this already and I will do it again?" And it was like, whoa, there's three interpretations of it. It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Big
It's
thing.
a lot going on there, bro. And I had to, you know what I'm saying? I had to weed through it. I said, man, let me go back and review this. Let me, you know what I'm saying, check this all the way out. You know what I mean? Make sure I ain't missing nothing. And I was like, yeah. They heard that there was 10, you know what I'm saying? And then after that it was like, no, we can't deal with this. It's too much, man.
And I'm
You
happy.
go on
You
here.
know what? You know, slyly, I'm happy that the Bible's such a beautiful book, man. This is how I know I will never believe in Muhammad, bro.